Now that I can see the benefits and the payoff that's happening, the identity that's starting to form as a result of me doing the practices that I talk about on this channel, I can't stop. There's no way to go besides up. I can't give up on myself anymore. I've seen the proof that it exists, that changing my state of being exists. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to another one with your girl, or welcome if you're new. So today's video is going to be an introduction of who I am and a little bit of a backstory on where I come from in life and what my purpose is here. So my name is Naya. I am a young woman who has lived in survival mode for as long as I've been alive. And I am now on my journey of regulating and becoming autonomous over myself through becoming more connected and highly attuned to my body, as opposed to constantly living outside of myself and trying to control others and things outside of me because I wasn't connected to me. I've now moved into a season of my life where my identity and relationship with myself is being restored before my eyes. This channel is about helping others build their self-concept and start to lead themselves and their bodies from a place of empowered self-governship, governing yourself in a way that the younger version of you could only dream of, starting to be more autonomous and aware of how to manifest the realities that we want by simply shaping our self-concept and the way we perceive ourselves, our relationship to ourselves. As a girly who grew up traumatized and who has continued to perpetuate trauma, it is essential that as I gain access to a healthy, secure attachment to myself and to life itself, that I pass the torch to anyone that is even remotely in the position that I was in before I set out on this healing journey. I don't even like the sound of healing journey. It just sounds so cliche, such a buzzword. Onto restoring my identity, restoring my power to myself. Now that we've got our introduction out of the way, I want to start to go back into the past and explain to you where I started from, and what my relationship to my identity used to be when I first started to become aware of life. So when I was younger, I was strangely aware of existence. It was super hard to just hold reality and existence in itself in my little body. I was always aware of the fact that it is bizarre that I am a person and that other people are people. That was just something that was very obvious to me, and it wasn't something that could just be brushed over. I don't remember anyone ever mentioning to me how strange it is to just be alive. So I just didn't think it was a thing. And that was really weird to me that no one else is kind of put off by the fact that we exist. That is the beginning of my identity and my relationship to myself. Trying to grasp where am I? That didn't seem to be like a problem that other people struggled with. And I later found out that this is actually a trait of autism. I now realize that none of my younger experiences were an isolated experience because other people felt like me and experienced reality and questions the same way I did. But since I didn't have that truth reflected back to me at that time, it was just something that I had to learn to cope with on a subconscious level. That really affected the way that I saw myself. If you don't know how to feel grounded in your body and your essence and reality, then it's kind of hard to start to build your personality and build your sense of self. So when I started to try and form my identity as a person, everything felt like cosplaying. It felt like I was trying on different hats and that I was always pretending. And because I didn't have a true sense of who am I, each time that I behaved in a specific way, it felt slightly disconnected from what I felt should be normal. It took me a long time before I realized that identity is a choice, that there are some parts of your identity that you're born with, but the rest you can adopt. You can simply choose who you want to be, and that determines who you are. Because your actions will start to formulate and match whatever you're claiming you want to identify as. I didn't understand that concept for a very long time. I felt like whatever you were was already like in you and you were just acting it out. I did not know that it could be a choice and that was normal. Like people were choosing to be a certain type of way. So I want to talk about how having a lack of identity, having a lack of connection to yourself, it's a really gaping gap. Everything that you create in life, whether it's art, whether it's what you choose to engage in, everything that you do in life is from the reference point of yourself. How you feel about it, what you like, what your personality is. So as a younger person who has difficulty building a healthy attachment to her own identity, you kind of have this empty space that's just kind of a void. So the only way for you to feel a sense of self is to draw from external things because you have a difficulty connecting with the internal parts of you. That showed up in my body as stress. Like, definitely for sure, I was stressed out. I compensated for that stress through addiction to control, addiction to, I want to say drugs, but it sounds like I'm out here doing coke. um, Addiction to alcohol, addiction to, well, I don't even know if I can say this on YouTube. So what I'm gonna say is addiction to herbs, if you know what I mean. And those addictions were able to help me cope with the fact that I felt so detached and I didn't have anything to ground me. Whenever I did enter romantic relationships, it was very imbalanced. It was either me trying to control everything or me being controlled. There was no in between. That was scarring and debilitating the way that, like, I already have a rocky relationship with self identity, so having those relationships further damaged what was already fragmented in the first place. It was difficult to view myself as separate from other people because I didn't have an identity. So their energy being merged with mine was my identity. So fast forward to now, where I am in my life. It's so weird. It's so weird in a good way. It's so weird in a scary way. The texture of what it feels like to start to have my identity and the concept of myself come into shape and come into fruition. It's something that I can't believe. It makes me want to cry just thinking about it because it's really painful to feel like you don't have a self. That's a heavy weight to hold. That's a heavy weight to carry when life itself is already laborsome. So yeah, this is definitely a new texture. It's a new experience, and I'm really, really, really grateful for it. I enjoy helping extend some of the lessons, some of the lessons and things that I'm using to grow the life of my dreams. And reshaping my self concept is literally life changing. My external reality is starting to support and show up for that truth. So holding that is powerful and scary and much needed. But now I'm starting to see myself in the light of a separate being. And it can feel kind of scary when you're learning to stay connected to the people that you care about while experiencing this shift in identity. It can kind of feel like you're learning the new texture of what it means to be you and them. There's some of the doubts that can go through your mind is kind of wondering whether or not it'll feel like this forever, if it's going to be good on the other side. Some of the biggest benefits that I'm experiencing as a result of becoming more attached to my identity is a sense of calm internally. My spiraling has completely minimized itself and transformed in the way that it looks outwardly and internally. I feel like I have more of an anchor on I have more of an anchor attached to me that doesn't feel like if something outside of me happens that I would just blow away with the wind. Because that's what it feels like when you live outside of yourself. You're constantly addicted to living outside of yourself because you don't think there's a self to live with. It feels like your sense of stability is gone with the wind. Like any way the wind blows, you'll blow with it. And that's a really unstable and unsustainable like reality to live in. It adds a lot of pressure to the whatever you're attaching yourself to, whether it be a substance, whether it be other people, and it really continues to reinforce the story that you believe that you're powerless. A really huge takeaway from gaining a more connection to my inner identity and my inner being is feeling like I can handle life a little bit more, spiraling a lot less because I feel like I am in charge of me. And even when I'm down, even when I'm having some of those moments, if the person that I was attached to or the thing that I was attached to became inaccessible to me, I have no control or a surety of when they would show back up again. That's a really disorienting place for your nervous system to be. All of my decisions flowed from how I felt. I don't want to continue to be an individual that is controlled by fear, by the emotion of fear. So the really big benefit is gaining autonomy. Gaining a sense of agency is scary because it makes you feel like now I have to be an adult. It makes you feel like you have more responsibilities to keep up with. But the truth is, that feeling of having to be the one to make it happen is a lot more tolerable than constantly feeling like your sense of agency is outside of yourself. And now that I've seen myself using the things that I talk about on my YouTube channel, using some of those methods and reframes, now that I can see the benefits and the payoff that's happening, the identity that's starting to form as a result of me doing the practices that I talk about on this channel, I can't stop. There's no way to go besides up. I can't give up on myself anymore. I've seen the proof that it exists, that changing my state of being exists, that having access to a sense of stability, it exists. Up until this point in my life, that was always a potential, something that I could get to. But now I can feel it within me, the power that's always been there, my awareness to that power, and now being using it, using that power, changing my emotional state, processing my feelings, building my concept by doing things that don't require me to leave my home. It doesn't require me to have anything outside of what's already like accessible to me now. And this is a power I want everybody to feel. This is a sense of stability that everybody should have. This is peace. And it's peace is unfamiliar, so it still has a bit of a scary tinge to it. But I'm here. I'm not too far ahead of you. If you're wanting to grow and you're wanting to see yourself in a different state, and right now you're currently still in that super anxious attached style, or you're in that super like powerless form of presenting, and as far as identity, I'm not some guru. You can do it too. I'm telling you, I've come from the darkest of the dark, and I'm moving. I'm refusing to be another statistic. I'm refusing to be a part of the generational curses. I'm refusing to commit to lifestyles and realities that just feel like poor, like scarcity, like grief. I'm no longer asleep to the lie that suffering is all there is if you've experienced hardship, that success is outside of myself. I'm telling you now that you can wake up too if this is you. All right, y'all. I just wanted to do a little free chat. I like to give myself the opportunity to speak without having to show up a specific way. Cause baby, this is my bird. So I will see you guys in the next one. That's all I have for you guys today in this one. I will see you in the next one.